Hey guys, it's Blair, the Love Guru from loveguru.net and thealiennetwork.com. And today I'm sharing a crazy story that comes out of Florida that I've kind of been watching for the last week, just here and there, but it just keeps popping up on my feed. And we're going to talk about it, why this is a bizarre situation and why this has to do with programming. And once you become aware of how deeply programmed you are, how deeply programmed society is, it's really disturbing, because you see then humans acting in bizarre ways, which a lot of us did notice this during Con-19. But it just compounds, it doesn't get any better, it just gets worse. Because one false layer of belief, which is a program, not all programs are false beliefs, but let's just say one false belief adds a layer to another false belief, adds a layer to another false belief. And then before you know it, which is where we are now, you're living in a world that is completely off center. That is just living a lie. Like literally everything is a lie in our world. So let me share this this video. I have two videos. They're two short news clips. Actually, before I go into that, let me introduce myself. My name is Blair. I'm known as the Love Guru. I'm a spiritual teacher, an intuitive heart healer, a psychic medium, dating and relationship expert, marriage and family therapist, leadership coach and trainer, corporate consultant, teacher of the New World Order, teacher of truth, deprogrammer. And I have a lot of resources to help you deprogram yourself, which is the only way that you get freedom in this world. It's very popular for people to be talking about freedom these days, and they want freedom from our tyrannical leaders. Well, first you need, the way that you go about getting freedom from the corruption going on in our world is that you first free yourself, or you only have to free yourself. And the way that you free yourself is that you deprogram and heal yourself. So that's what I help with. I have all resources about to help you, all audios, videos, books on loveguru.net, as well as thealiennetwork.com/toolkit. Okay, so let's go to this story. This is straight out of South Florida. It's raining iguanas. Let's watch this.
You have quite the scene, and please it is raining iguanas. Isabella, you have quite the scene, and please introduce us to the lady standing next to you.
Yes, this is Jessica. She is the iguana expert. She's picked up, she said, hundreds of pounds of...
Okay, so hold on. Of course, we're not going to watch this all, straight through. I have to comment here. So I have a little bit of a personal attachment to this story, because I lived in South Florida for almost, I don't know, was I down there for maybe 8 years or so, 8 or 10 years or something around that. I went to undergrad as well as graduate school in South Florida. So this is my area. I feel a connection to this area, and I also feel a connection to iguanas, because when I was living in South Florida, I used to have this really cute green iguana that used to come visit me on my balcony and would always sit on my bike, and we were friends. So let's see what they're doing. First up, by the way, what the hell is wrong with this lady? She is weirdly smiling the whole time. You're gonna see.
Iguanas this morning. This is crazy. I've honestly never seen anything like it. Jessica, tell us what is happening. Why are these iguanas frozen?
Right, of course, iguanas are cold-blooded animals, so as soon as it gets to freezing, we end up having iguanas fall out the trees here in South Florida.
Okay, and
what is she happy about? I don't get this. Well, I understand it now, but I still find this disturbing. So basically, these iguanas are freezing almost to death. They're falling out of trees. Then this lady happily is coming to pick them up, kill them, and sell them to the Spanish population so they could have iguana soup. So let's continue on.
Said you've picked up hundreds of pounds worth just this morning. You told me you started at 4. What do you do with them after you pick up all of these all around the city?
Well, of course, we contact our Trinidadian friends and all the people that like to eat iguanas. So a lot of different cultures eat iguanas, and they eat the eggs, and they eat the legs, and they eat the tail. So this is easy snacks falling out the trees this morning.
Okay, and I know that you did tell me that before, and I was surprised because I said, is that inhumane?
All right, this is a fucking bizarre story. I kind of wish I was down there just to see this, because it's like horrifying. These guys look like little dragons. Like when I first had that iguana on my balcony, it scared the shit out of me, because I had never seen something like that. You never really seen these guys. They're like hiding, and then it was just there staring at me.
But tell us about the reasons why that's acceptable.
Right, so iguanas are an invasive species here in South Florida, just like the pythons, the parrots, and other animals that damage our native environment. And so we are not allowed to relocate these animals. Some people try to heat them up and let them back go. If you do that on your own property, that's your own choice. But FWC did allow for people to go to a place today. If you find frozen iguanas in your yard, you can look up on FWC's website and they'll tell you drop-off points.
What? Is she a retard? You see her just like smiling. I mean, imagine if this was a story about like just dead people everywhere. Oh, actually, I do remember a story like that. I think that happened in 2020. That supposedly there were dead people everywhere, but people weren't smiling. You weren't allowed to smile during that. Here you're smiling because you're finding iguanas, which are animals. They're alive. They're very similar to humans as far as like they're an animal. Right, but here she's smiling.
We'll humanely put iguanas down and make sure
collecting
that they don't
them.
suffer, but we also get them out of our environment and save South Florida.
Okay, and you've already found a
Okay, save South Florida. There she is, still smiling. This lady, something's off about her. Totally off. Okay, but let's talk about the programming. Okay, she has been programmed to think, oh, Blair, it's facts, that iguanas are bad for the environment in South Florida. So she thinks she's like Mother Teresa, collecting them, contacting these Trinidadians or whatever, and being like, hey, you want some free snacks? That's what she was calling them, falling out of trees, free snacks. The whole thing is like fucking bizarre, okay? But like, the animals are not an issue, okay? No animals are an issue. The only animal that's an issue in our world are humans, all right? And I think that's very clear for anybody who's awake to see. But like here, this is getting news coverage. This is being celebrated. We're going to go to a different story of what they're doing on, I think, the west coast of Florida. But this story is just so fucking weird to me. This lady's strange. Okay, so but she's programmed to believe that these things are bad for the South Florida, and then she's like a hero, right? She's walking around, she's a hero. So, you know, your programming can sway you any which way, and it affects the way that you act. And if you have incorrect information or you have a lower level of consciousness, the iguanas are not destroying the environment. They're not the problem. It's not us versus them. It's not let's go around, collect them, and kill them. This is insane to me. It's disturbing. But, you know, this is the world we live in, right?
Several in this park, but you told me after this spot, you're headed to the beach. Why are there a lot on the beach, do you think?
Yes, so the last time it froze like this, I found the majority of my frozen iguanas out by the beach. I think that air coming off of the cold water is even colder for them, and the wind is stronger over there, so it knocks them out the trees, and we're expecting to find many more iguanas this morning out there, probably until about 11 a.m. when it starts to get warm enough for them to wake up and climb back up the trees.
Okay, and one last question. What is the heaviest and biggest iguana you have picked up today?
Today, this is probably the biggest boy we've gotten. He probably weighs around 10 pounds and is probably around 5.5 feet long.
And you told me it's like picking up a bag of ice.
Oh yes, right now they are so cold. My hand is frozen right now holding him. And so they're like little bags of ice and they are so heavy. So like you said, we've gotten probably around 200 pounds of iguanas and probably around 75 to 80 iguanas total.
And this is crazy. I've been nervous even holding this one, and I did pick that one up just a couple of minutes ago. I thought they were gonna wake up.
Yeah, they're not waking up yet. We had one moving slightly a minute ago. He was sitting in the sun, so he's getting to heat up a little quicker. But they still have a few more hours that we're going to be able to run around and pick up iguanas like Easter eggs off the ground.
And for those that see a frozen iguana right outside their doorstep, what do you recommend they do one last time?
If you want to allow him to defrost, go ahead and move him to the sun and he'll get to defrost and go up the trees. But if you want to help the environment and remove him, you need to look up FWC's drop-off site and they'll be able to take care of him humanely for you.
Okay, thank you so much, Jessica. Again,
This is fucking bizarre. What a psycho. Well, for the safety and to save South Florida, she's a hero. And that's just like how people were programmed during the con, right? That they were heroes for wearing their mask and for taking their temperature and for keeping a 6-foot distance from one another and for getting the shot. And this is the sicko world that we live in. Let's go to this one, okay? Another Southwest Florida. Joined to collect cold stunned iguanas. So these animals are basically going through a rough time, and humans are like fucking celebrating it and going around collecting them and like killing them. It is insanity.
Well, today is day one of FWC's temporary order allowing you to capture frozen iguanas and bring them in for disposal. The agency is taking advantage of the cold snap, which can leave the lizards paralyzed, in order to help reduce the number of invasive species. Gulf Coast News reporter Natasha Casal is speaking.
I mean, these animals are absolutely amazing. Like, you could walk around South Florida and then like try to like look, like you could play a little game, like trying to spot them in the trees. And it's incredible how they blend in. Like, all animals are amazing. And like, again, we're having one report after the next on how it's like, capture them, kill them, like, what is this, like the Hunger Games, like a hunting game? Like, it's fucking bizarre.
Got in on the action.
Kind of learned in a lot of my classes that they're really bad for the environment here, so I...
All right, hold up. There you go. Marlon Smith from Bonita Springs. Well, did you hear what he said? I learned in my class how they're bad for the environment here. Well, that's the program alert. Programming alert. I learned in school by my teachers who are brainwashed that this is bad for our environment, so I'm gonna go around, pick them up, and kill them.
I figured it would be best to kind of collect him and properly dispose of him to kind of overall help our environment here.
Today and Monday.
Same messaging, help our environment. Let's collect them, dispose of them, and help our environment. This is like, so, I mean, this is how you get one generation after the next, like, into these, like, really strange, like, wormholes of thinking, distorted thinking. It gets passed from one generation to the next. The incorrect information shared, and then everybody thinks, they're placed as heroes. They're feeling good about themselves, like they're doing something good for the world, when it's like, do you not see how distorted your thinking is?
Florida Fish and Wildlife officers are collecting frozen, cold-stunned green iguanas. A temporary executive order was issued earlier this week that allows you to remove the invasive species from the wild without a permit and take them to 5 designated FWC offices. Marlon Smith says it's cool to be able to help wildlife officers and help our ecosystem.
It's nice to
Yes, it's so cool.
engage the public in this too, because I mean, there's only so many FWC officers and so many environmental.
Okay, so now he's even doing activism. So this is what I'm always talking about too, is that, because I do trainings, I have these freedom classes. Let's show a little picture. That's me, okay, if you don't know who I am. I have these freedom classes for leaders on loveguru.net/freedom. And this is where I help activists, people who are leaders, are soon to be leaders in the world, who feel that they're here to do something that's important to positively change the world. And the issue here is that when you don't understand how you've been programmed, when you don't understand the issues at hand, when you have not healed your programming, you start doing activism in like the incorrect way. So this guy is like a college kid. He's young, he has energy, he's full of energy, he's eager to help, he has like a good heart. And now, like, you could say, like, hey, the dark side got him. You know, you're on the wrong side. And we can, like, relate this to so many things in our world. You know, I mean, one thing that comes to mind right now is, like, all this extreme weather we're having and the climate change and how people push that shit. And they don't even understand, you know, you're working for evil. You're on the dark side of things. You know, the weather is not what you think it is. It's not natural. So, you know, let's go back to this dude.
Scientists, so to allow the public to do this and help them out is a really large collective effort, and I think it's ultimately going to do a lot of good for the ecosystem.
For here in the
Again,
Gulf Coast,
the same talking points. It's good for the ecosystem. It's good for the environment. This is an invasive species.